The algorithm alert that woke me at 4:23 a.m. PST wasn't about a platform outage or security breach. It was about the real-time collapse of the most powerful financial system in human history. Our global sentiment analysis AI had detected what it classified as an empire termination event. The first time in platform history that our predictive models calculated the end of a global monetary system with mathematical certainty. Nigeria had just declared financial independence from America, and Trump's response was to threaten nuclear-armed intervention against Africa's most populous nation. I've been building social networks for over 2 decades. I've watched governments fall, currencies collapse, and entire economies restructure through the power of digital connection. But I'd never seen our algorithms detect the real-time death of an empire until yesterday morning. Let me tell you what really happened when 220 million Nigerians decided to break America's dollar monopoly forever, and how our platforms accidentally became the command center for the most successful economic rebellion in modern history. The first signal came through our financial content tracking systems. At 2:17 a.m. Washington time, engagement around alternative payment systems spiked 1,847% across West Africa. Our AI content classifiers flagged this as coordinated economic resistance activity, something our systems had been trained to detect but never expected to see at this scale. Within minutes, I was watching live data streams showing something unprecedented: synchronized economic rebellion spreading across multiple continents through our platforms. A secure video call between Nigeria's finance minister and counterparts in Brazil, India, and South Africa was being streamed live through encrypted WhatsApp groups to economic planning committees in over 40 countries simultaneously. They weren't just discussing trade agreements, they were watching the birth of what they called the Southern Corridor, a complete alternative to dollar-dominated global finance, coordinated through our platforms in real time. I immediately called an emergency session with our geopolitical risk team. What we discovered in the next 6 hours would change everything I thought I knew about the relationship between social media and global power. Our back-end analytics showed that Nigeria's currency decision wasn't spontaneous. It was the culmination of 3 years of systematic preparation, coordination, and intelligence sharing, all happening through our platforms. Every strategy meeting, every technical discussion, every backup plan had been organized through Facebook groups, coordinated via WhatsApp, and documented through Instagram posts that our AI now realizes were coded communications between central banks. The platforms I built to connect college students had accidentally become the infrastructure for the largest economic rebellion in human history. But here's what shook me to my core about Trump's reaction. Within 4 hours of Nigeria's announcement, he was threatening military intervention, not economic sanctions, not diplomatic pressure, war, against a country whose only crime was choosing what currency to accept for their own oil. Our sentiment analysis algorithms immediately flagged this as terminal imperial overreach, the moment when a declining power reveals its complete loss of nonviolent tools for maintaining dominance. I watched the engagement data in real time as Trump's war threats backfired spectacularly. Instead of intimidating other countries into compliance, his response triggered what our systems classified as coordination cascade effect, other nations immediately accelerating their own dollar exit strategies. Within 12 hours of Trump's threats, our platforms were documenting active dollar ditching initiatives in Brazil, Argentina, Malaysia, Indonesia, and South Africa. His attempt to intimidate Nigeria had accidentally triggered a global stampede away from American financial control. The algorithmic implications were staggering. For the first time since I started Meta, our engagement prediction models were showing higher user interest in economic sovereignty content than in entertainment, sports, or even political drama. 2 billion people were suddenly more interested in learning about alternative payment systems than in watching cat videos. But what really kept me analyzing platform data until dawn was the sophistication of Nigeria's digital strategy. This wasn't just economic policy. This was information warfare executed at the highest level. Every Trump threat was immediately countered with detailed platform content about successful sanctions resistance. Every American economic pressure point was met with educational posts about alternative trade partnerships. Every military intimidation was answered with historical precedents of failed imperial interventions. Nigeria had turned our platforms into a real-time university for economic independence, and the entire global south was taking advanced courses. Our content analysis showed that Nigerian users weren't just sharing abstract theories. They were posting step-by-step guides for implementing alternative payment systems, detailed breakdowns of bilateral trade mechanisms, and practical tutorials for cryptocurrency adoption. But here's the detail that changes everything about modern geopolitics. This educational content was being translated into dozens of languages and implemented by governments worldwide within days of posting. A Facebook post explaining Nigeria's yuan payment mechanism would be shared in Portuguese within hours, adapted by Brazilian officials within days, and implemented by Argentine businesses within weeks. Our platforms had accidentally created the world's first real-time imperial resistance training program, and it was working faster than any government could counter. The scale of coordination was beyond anything our systems had been designed to handle. Our WhatsApp encryption analytics showed that during the 72 hours surrounding Nigeria's announcement, over 2.3 million encrypted messages were exchanged between verified government accounts across 47 countries. These weren't casual diplomatic communications. Our metadata analysis classified them as structured resistance coordination, detailed technical discussions about payment systems, legal frameworks, and implementation timelines. I called Tim Cook, Satya Nadella, and even reached out to other tech CEOs to compare our data. Every major platform was seeing the same pattern: spontaneous, organic coordination between developing nations at a scale that dwarfed traditional diplomatic channels. Apple's secure messaging showed similar spikes. Microsoft's collaboration tools were hosting unprecedented numbers of intergovernmental planning sessions. Even LinkedIn was trending with economic sovereignty content. This wasn't just social media activity. This was the digitization of global resistance to American financial control. But here's what really shocked our data science teams. The engagement patterns weren't random or emotional. They followed sophisticated information architecture principles that suggested professional coordination by experts who understood how algorithmic amplification works. Every piece of Nigerian content about dollar alternatives was being optimized for maximum reach, strategic use of trending hashtags, perfectly timed posting schedules, cross-platform coordination that maximized engagement across different demographic segments. Nigeria hadn't just rejected the dollar, they had hacked the algorithm to make their resistance story algorithmically irresistible. Our content performance analysis showed that Nigerian sovereignty narratives were achieving engagement rates typically reserved for viral entertainment content. Videos explaining alternative payment mechanisms were getting higher view counts than sports highlights. Educational posts about bilateral trade agreements were outperforming celebrity gossip. The global audience was more interested in learning how to escape American financial control than in consuming American cultural products. The breaking point for American credibility came when our global trending algorithms detected something that should terrify every Washington strategist. Nigeria's resistance narrative was achieving higher engagement rates than pro-American content, not just in Africa, everywhere, including in traditional American allies. European users were sharing Nigerian content about economic sovereignty at higher rates than their own governments, messaging about transatlantic partnership. Asian markets were discussing Nigeria's successful dollar exit more than American trade proposals. The algorithmic verdict was clear: America had lost narrative control globally. But what Trump and his advisors completely missed was the digital coordination happening behind Nigeria's public announcements. Our back-end systems showed that Nigerian officials weren't just making unilateral decisions, they were receiving real-time strategic advice from Chinese economic planners, Russian energy experts, and Indian fintech developers, all coordinated through our platforms. Every American pressure tactic was being immediately analyzed by a global brain trust of economic strategists, with countermeasures developed and shared across continents within hours. Nigeria wasn't just resisting American power. Through our platforms, they had created a real-time global advisory network that made them smarter, faster, and more adaptable than the empire trying to control them. I started tracking the specific coordination patterns, and what I found was revolutionary. Nigerian central bank officials would post a question about sanctions-resistant banking on a private Facebook group. Within minutes, Iranian experts would share evasion techniques, Russian analysts would provide legal frameworks, and Chinese developers would offer technical solutions. Our platforms had become the world's first crowdsourced guide to imperial resistance, and every solution was being tested and implemented in real time. The moment I knew the American empire was finished came when our sentiment analysis detected something unprecedented. Positive engagement with anti-dollar content had reached 67% globally, higher than engagement with American cultural exports like Hollywood movies or tech products. For the first time in platform history, resistance to American power was more popular than American entertainment. Trump's war threats had accomplished something no previous empire had ever faced. They had made opposing American power algorithmically viral worldwide. But the strategic implications go far deeper than just Nigeria. Our cross-platform analysis showed that Nigeria's success was immediately inspiring coordinated action across the entire global south. Within 48 hours of Nigeria's announcement, our systems detected similar preparation patterns in 23 other countries. Brazil was accelerating peso-yuan trade agreements. South Africa was implementing rand-rupee commerce. Malaysia was expanding Islamic finance alternatives. Each success generated more platform content about resistance strategies. Each viral story of economic independence reached millions of users in countries currently under American pressure. Nigeria had accidentally created the template for algorithmic imperial resistance, and our platforms were distributing the blueprint globally. The most sophisticated element of Nigeria's strategy was what our AI classified as temporal resistance coordination. Their announcements were timed to maximize global platform engagement during peak activity hours across multiple time zones while catching American officials sleeping. Our cross-platform monitoring detected distributed economic planning happening through our systems. Nigerian central bank officials were crowdsourcing solutions from global experts in real time through encrypted WhatsApp groups and Facebook planning committees. When Nigeria needed technical specifications for yuan payment systems, Chinese experts shared documentation instantly. When they needed legal frameworks, Brazilian scholars provided templates within hours. Our platforms had become the world's first distributed central bank, with Nigeria benefiting from global collaborative intelligence. More importantly, every successful implementation was being documented and shared as educational content. Brazilian users created peso-yuan exchange tutorials. South African creators produced professional videos explaining alternative trade mechanisms. Our platform had accidentally become the world's largest university for economic independence, with millions of students learning to escape American financial control. The final irony that should haunt American strategists forever is that the infrastructure enabling this global rebellion was built by American companies, funded by American investors, and protected by American free speech principles. We created the tools of our own empire's destruction, and we made them free for the world to use. Looking at current platform trends, I can predict what comes next with high algorithmic confidence. Nigeria's successful resistance will inspire increasingly coordinated challenges to American financial control worldwide. Every country that successfully exits the dollar system will generate more platform content about economic sovereignty. Each viral success story will reach millions of users in nations currently trapped in dollar dependence. The feedback loop is irreversible. Digital platforms have made imperial resistance viral content, and viral content spreads faster than empires can adapt. We're not just watching the end of the dollar's global monopoly. We're watching it being live-streamed, analyzed, and franchised in real time across every platform, in every language, reaching every government that's ever felt trapped by American financial control. Trump's war threats weren't just a strategic mistake. They were an algorithmic confession that American power now depends entirely on the threat of violence. When your only response to economic competition is military intimidation, you've already lost the legitimacy that makes power sustainable. The algorithm has spoken. The empire age is ending. Welcome to the platform age of global finance, where 220 million Nigerians with smartphones just defeated the most powerful military in human history, and they did it by simply choosing which currency to accept for their own oil.